All right. Good evening, Drill Masters Elite Community. This is Coach JT here, and I'm on with another expert today, Anna Thellman, who is an intimacy and relationship coach. She is a wonderful human being doing a lot of fantastic things, and I can't wait to hear from you, Anna. That's beautiful. I love that introduction, Anna. And one thing I can immediately see it connecting with, as having been a coach on the field for 24 plus years now, I know that as much as I love coaching on the field, it does put a strain on my personal relationship with my wife and my family because I spend so much time on the field, and it's important to have that balance. And then, um, especially with your wife, if you're a coach or husband or partner, it's a relationship that can't be overlooked. And sometimes when I see coaches struggling on the field with parents and umpires and those things, that's actually a symptom of a deeper relationship problem that they're dealing with at home. Would you agree? Yeah, that is so true. I mean, I'm always telling my players how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So if you show up to practice and you do the drills and you put in 100% and you do the things that are asked of you plus more, when it comes game time, you're going to be the one that outperforms everybody else. And it's the same in our relationships, right? So if I'm going home and I'm performing in my relationship at home, that's going to spill over to what I'm doing on the field with my athletes and with the other parents and umpires, because those are relationships that a lot of coaches don't take into account. And if they're struggling with that, they're quick to blame, right? Oh, I always get terrible umpires, or I always have bad parents, which is why I have so much turnover on my team. But really, if we look internally at what's going on with us as the coach, we will usually find pretty quickly what the real answer to the challenge is. And this is why I wanted to have you on here, Hannah, to talk about these relationships and what you can do to help improve them. And when you improve those relationships at home, how that can start to reflect on the coach's team and the other coaches and the parents and the umpires out on the field. Yeah, that is so true that it becomes a reflection. And if we look at it a little deeper, I always talk to coaches about their team reflects who they are, right? So if I'm a coach and I'm putting together a new team, when I first start putting that team together, and it starts to behave the way I behave, it's because of what's going on internally in me. So I love how you talk about, first we got to address this, right? First we address this. And a lot of coaches think, well, it's about the girls or the boys that I'm coaching on the field. I need to address that with them. Well, no, you need to address it here first. Because if you're having these issues and these challenges, as you so put it so well, it's a reflection of what's going on here, right? So if I'm having an issue with some parents, it can be really humbling for a coach to actually sit down and say, okay, actually this is my responsibility to fix. This is my challenge to fix, and that they're just reflecting back to me what internally those conversations I'm having. And it reminds me of Neville Goddard talked to. He did some work with a dancer, and she was having issues with the production manager, and he asked her, "What is the conversation you have in your head before you go to your production?" And she said, "Well, I'm saying all these mean things and all these things." in my mind to him things that I would never ever tell him to his face. And Nobel just said, well, you've got to change that. You've got to do something different. You've got to have a different conversation in your head, and it'll start to play out differently with this production manager. And long story short, that's exactly what happened. She changed the conversation in her head, and suddenly he was the nicest guy, and he was putting her in the starring roles and doing all these things, and everything she did was amazing now. When the only thing that changed was the conversation that she was having in her head on the way to the studio. Oh yeah. I have never heard that before, but I love it. Yeah, no, embrace relationships can be it's something that's overlooked because oftentimes when coaches come to me and their team isn't performing on the field, they feel it's something they're doing wrong, or that they don't have the right practice plan, or they're not working on the right skills, or they just throw their hands up and say, I have no idea why this team can't win. I just need a new team. And it can be a challenge to get through a person who's in that state, to get them to reflect internally on what they're doing. So when you go into a new client relationship and you have somebody who's having those issues at home, what's the first thing that you do with them? Oh, that's so beautiful. And I'm always talking to the athletes about this when they go up to bat. And let's say they just struck out their last three at bats and they're coming up to their next at bat, and you can see the nervousness and the trepidation on their face. So I call timeout and I come over and I talk to them and I say, I can clearly see that you're thinking about what's happened in the past. But if you continue to think about that, this present moment is going to be affected and impacted by that. Why don't we just try something else? Like, we know you can hit. You've hit before thousands of times. We've taken thousands of reps in practice. Is it possible that you can go up there and get a hit instead of striking out this time? And if you start to redirect their thoughts, they're going to start attracting better thoughts and better situations and better circumstances, and start to produce better for you. And that's amazing that it's like I said before, whatever happens on the field happens at home, happens at school, happens in your relationships, happens in your business. And so, even though you may think, well, why, coach, do you have a relationship expert on in this community? And I say, because it's part of it, and it's a big part of it. I love that. I love that. Uh, one of my favorite stories to relate was Babe Ruth was a historic hitter for the New York Yankees and pitcher, but he had the home run record for years, and he came off the field after striking out one time, and the press member asked him, "Why are you smiling? You just struck out." And he said, "Because I'm that much closer to another home run." Right? He knows it's about math. It's about going up to the plate. It's about having that experience. And I tell my girls or my boys when they're out there on the field, take another pitch. Look at another pitch, hit another pitch, take another walk, look at a different situation. Every time you run into something, use it as a learning situation, you know? And you really can't not do that. But if you're focused on it, it increases the level of learning that you get, right? Every experience in your life, every relationship in your life increases your value as a human being because it adds to your experience. And as it adds to your experience, whether you're on the field or off the field with your husband, with your wife, with your partner, with your kids, with your cousins, with your family, it doesn't really matter. It adds to you as a person, to your experience of this wonderful thing we call life. That is so true, and we see that so often in young athletes where they use that failure as, "Oh, that's who I am. I'm always gonna fail," instead of using it in a different way. So it sounds like with your relationship coaching, what you do is you take and you rearrange the mind in a way that allows them to experience the relationship more fully and contribute more to the relationship, with which then ends up improving the relationship in their lives, really in total. So why don't you take us out with your number one takeaway for the coaches and the parents on here today? What is the number one piece of advice that you say, you must do this? I love it. Take responsibility. I love it. All right. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Anna. I appreciate you being here today, and I can't wait to see you in the community. You're welcome.